Hello, and you're very welcome to the Women's Rugby Pod, episode 167. She's Sadia Kabeya.
And he's Johnnie Hammond.
We have got a great show lined up for you today. Sadia, how are you? You're back out there. You're very coy last week. I knew something was up.
I am back.
You're back out there. How great was it?
No, it was really good. It was really good to get back out there. Got 40 minutes and loads of defense, which is right up my alley. And it felt good. Didn't pick up my hammy once. Made a few tackles, carried a bit. So from a personal point of view, yeah, it's great. It's great to be back.
Great stuff. Yeah, brilliant. So pleased for you. So yeah, you said, because we spoke about mentally and physically last week, didn't we? So it didn't cross your mind one little bit. That's brilliant.
Because I was a bit hesitant, thinking, oh, will I, be holding back a bit in the game because it's like playing on my mind, but not one bit.
Brilliant. I'm so pleased. Look, we're going to get into those results from the PWR round 4. We're going to look ahead to round 5. We'll catch up with all the news from around the world as ever. But the headline news this week, really, certainly on this side of the hemispheres, is the news that Guinness has jumped in. The door has been opened. Read into that what you will. To become a long-term partnership with the Women's Championship, and they've renewed with the Men's Championship as well. So it's renamed the Guinness Women's Six Nations as of 2024. Stephen O'Kelly, Dazio's global brand director for Guinness, said this new partnership will help support the skill and talent of the women's competition to surge forward towards a level playing field between the men's and the women's game. It is our goal to never settle. See what he's done there? Until rugby is a place where everyone belongs, where we hold nothing back, and where we unite together in sport and life. Reported to be a 6-year deal, 15 million across both tournaments. That's allegedly. I mean, we did say well done and brilliant when TikTok came on board. But you never quite know, do you, with a young company like that? But this is Dazio, this is Guinness, this is a brand that's long associated with rugby. You know, it sort of flirted with sponsoring the Women's Six Nations over the last few years. But this is another really, really big statement, isn't it, Sadia?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think for me, the main thing is it being the same across the men and the women's game. For that to be recognised, obviously people recognise the men's game to be sponsored by Guinness. And so now to be on the same page as the men, I think it'll be great for the women's game. Great for putting us on the same playing field as the men as well, in terms of viewership and fans. And personally, I don't really like Guinness, so that side of it doesn't appeal to me. But I think,
don't worry,
well, I can say I don't like the taste of it. I don't like the taste of it. Anyway,
Johnny does that. It's fine.
But yeah, I think for the game, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, and it's in line, obviously here in England. O2, they're involved with the England setup, and again promising equal measure between men and women's and that kind of stuff. Whether that sort of plays out fully, but those are the commitments that people are making publicly, and as you say, to put stuff on a level playing field, as Stephen O'Kelly said. I tried to get a Guinness representative on the pod today, but believe you me, it's been one of those weeks in terms of guests. I'll tell you about Australia later. Anyway, no, it's brilliant news.
Actually, wait, Guinness right by my bed.
Oh, look at that! For those just listening, she's got a little Guinness
snow globe.
Right.
I love Guinness.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, genuinely, I do love Guinness. Let's look back at the PWR round 4 then, Sadia. Gloucester-Hartpury Sale. We go for some really positive news to one of those like, oh God, what has happened?
Yeah.
Postponed due to lack of medical services. I've worked in the game a pretty long time. I can't remember that happening for the men ever, and yet I can probably point to 2-3 occasions with the women's. And I'm not one of those to compare the men's and women's. It's two different sports, but it doesn't happen in the men's game. It's disappointing, isn't it?
No, it is disappointing. It's super frustrating. It happened to Loughborough last season against Worcester, so I know exactly how it feels to be in that position, and it's so frustrating because the players, the coaches, that do all the training, they do all the match prep, they turn up on the day, and yeah, for the games to be called off because there isn't enough medical pitch side is so frustrating, and like you said, it doesn't happen in the men's game. And this is one of those comparisons where why don't we get the same treatment in that sense? So yeah, very, very frustrating.
And just to put a level head on these things, because it doesn't often happen, but we don't know whose fault it is. We're not pointing any fingers. It just seems to happen with regularity in the women's game, and perhaps it was just one of those things. But it's really disappointing. Look, for Gloucester, that's 2 games in a row, right? That they've now missed this weekend. We'll look at it later on, but up against Exeter, that's not ideal, is it at all?
No, not ideal. Having a 2-week break. Obviously, it's 2 weeks of training, but you miss that weekly hit out. Being able to get some more experience in playing under your belt, and also it's like you're sitting there getting cold, kind of. Obviously, you can train all you want. But that stimulus of being on the game day, it does enhance your performance. So yeah, for Gloucester, a team who thrive on playing together and playing well together, I can't say that 2-week break is gonna be a positive thing for them.
Because like Bristol, Quins, and Leicester. We'll talk about those results in a second. They've all played 4 games now. We're going into round 5. I've had a little text conversation with Sean Lynn this week, and he's saying, we're going into round 5 and you only played 2 games. But look, they need to get those back up. Look, we've got to dissect it. 46-17. You went down to Bristol.
Yes.
Your assessment, please.
My assessment. I mean, there's a lot of things you could have done better. First half, we were still in it. Half time, I think it was, I don't know, maybe 17-7 or something. I mean, we're very much still in the game in terms of what we were seeing on the pitch. Obviously, no excuses to be made, but at half time, Helena came off through concussion, so we had our 9s both on at 9 and 10. Our 10 never playing 10 before in a Premiership game, so that didn't help. But I think for Loughborough, a lot of it is we just can't put the phases together when we get into 22. I think our entries into 22 stats, our conversion rate is probably really not good at the moment. We're taking the small wins and being able to get into the 22, but once we get into there, we just don't put those last 3-4 phases together. I think a lot of people were saying that the score seems worse than it is because when you watch it, you're like, oh, they're kind of back and forth. But yeah, we just didn't put those points together. And Bristol, they're a team that when they get the ball, they like to keep the ball. We spoke about this last week. So anytime we did cough the ball up in attack, they were able to capitalise. So yeah.
What are the positives? Who were the positives in the game for you?
I would say having below Matasonga back was huge for us. She's just like so dynamic, lots of energy in attack, in defence, sitting people down. Carmela Morale, one of our younger girls coming through, has been starting in the centres.
Didn't she? Yeah.
She scored, yeah. She's, gaining confidence week in, week out, and is becoming a really good presence on the pitch for us. So I think those two, and obviously Catherine Treader coming in, second game, been in the country for, I don't know, a week and a half, and she had a really good game too. So
yeah, and Bristol dominated, like 60% possession, well over 1,000 meters carried. Yeah, their scrum was 100%, line out 79, yours is 64. Possibly an area to have a little work on as well. How impressed were you with Bristol?
I think Bristol were
Bristol-like,
yeah. What's to be expected of Bristol? They did what we expected, getting the ball to the wing, to the edges, and our defensive system wasn't good enough. Obviously, we gave them that space. and they took it. I think Meg Varley had a really good game. I don't think there were necessarily any standout moments. I just think Bristol, they worked together as a team and were able to um, identify the spaces on the pitch where they could attack our weaknesses, and that meant that they were able to get 46 points on the board.
Yeah, you mentioned Meg Varley, one of those just a really, really solid performer, like a Fee Fletcher, used to be at Harlequins, Rachel Lunn, people like this. And who's the other centre I want to talk about? Bristol centre, Phoebe Murray. You're thereabouts, touching that little divide between club and country. But Meg Varley, terrible injury, was at Worcester. She signed to Bristol anyway. But a fabulous afternoon for her. A couple of tries in there. Sarah Byrne got one. Kia Bevan, Alicia Butchers, Akin Davis, Grelly, and Deborah Wills. So well done to Bristol. Let's move to Harlequins against Exeter. They were without the services of Emily Robinson. That is the first of a 5-match ban.
Could be worse, I think. I think she's gotten quite a on the good side of a sentence there, considering how blatant the action was. But yeah,
that's a pretty decent win against a team that's there or thereabouts. Come the shake-up of most seasons, 43% possession next to the Chiefs had, but very, very clinical, very, very accurate. I'm surprised they're as far down the road, for want of a better term, with so many new sort of systems and players in key positions as they are. That's impressive. That's impressive away at Quins, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. 52 points, huge score on Quins, especially like you said, not having the most of the possession, and always I think Exeter are known for, well, they're known for their obviously performing at their home ground. So when they go away to other teams' home grounds, they don't perform as well. But yeah, to put 52 points against Quins, like you said, a lot of people moving about. But for me, it's not a surprise with Exeter. They're a team who, once they get going, they're like a well-oiled machine. They all know what they're doing. Their forwards know what they need to do. Their backs in the right places. They can kick when they need to. They pass when they need to. They carry when they need to. So I think once they get going and they do get into a groove, that you can't really stop them. I think that's why they got so many points, putting on 50-odd points on a team like Quins. Obviously not in the best position at the moment, but still pretty decent defense. Yeah, it's pretty. Something to be pretty impressed at.
I'm going a bit statty today, as you may have noticed. Average ruck speed of 2.44 seconds for Exeter, 3.45 for Quins. Again, it's over a second longer. It doesn't sound very long. That's huge, right?
No, that is huge. And under 3-second ruck speed is super fast. So to even get that, obviously shows that, one, their breakdown is really good, or Quins weren't contesting their breakdown. Exeter's bullets are really fast. And obviously having being able to have the extra second puts Quins on that back foot, and it shows in the score.
Yeah, and they had that driving wall to Tosi with another couple of tries. That's 47 for the season already. Utterly ridiculous. Marion Deutsch, a fullback hat-trick for her. Kobayashi with a lovely old pass to Claudia McDonald out wide. And Deutsch is just on the inside to take the pass. Another one of those excellent club players that possibly in a different generation may well have a fair few caps under her belt.
Yeah, no, definitely. Even when she's come into England, she's been on the cusp of England for a while now, and she's such a consistent player at Exeter. I think she always puts performance in. I think she's one of those players that you can trust. You know what they're going to do, and I think she's also great morale as well. Obviously, she's still quite young, still got a lot of her career ahead of her, so hopefully soon enough we'll see her in an England shirt. But yeah, like you said, there's a few players like that. Marion Deutsch, Phoebe Murray, Meg Varley, who are all on the cast, and they're all really, really talented players. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they can go.
Quins have a bye this week, and then big game on the 30th, Gloucester-Hartpury. Just have a feeling that break might come at a nice time for them, just to kind of regroup. Hasn't been a good couple of weeks. Saracens and then Exeter, some pretty decent losses there, and injuries and bans and all the rest of it. Just to regroup for Harlequins, because they want to impress at the big Stoop across the road at HQ.
I think it's definitely come out at the right time for them. Time to reflect over their past couple of games. Obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of positives they can pull out there, a lot of things to work on as well. And obviously, the big game, it's what it says on the tin. It's a big game. It's a big event, and I'm sure they'll all be looking forward to that game. And like you said, wanting to impress, especially at home, and also against a team like Gloucester as well, because they know exactly what they're coming up against. They know it's going to be a tough game. So having this time now of a bye week and then the extra week to prepare, I'm sure we're putting them in a much more positive positive mood coming into the game.
Yeah, indeed so. But congratulations to Exeter. And then history for Ealing Trailfinders. Their first ever win in the PWR, 36-7 against Leicester Tigers. Have you seen that clip with somebody trying to say Worcestershire sauce?
I have, yes.
Yes. Worcestershire sherry, yeah, brilliant.
I called it.
What's saying. That? You did call it. You did call it, indeed so. Did you get all of them right then? No, because you backed Loughborough.
Well, yeah, of course I backed my team.
Brilliant. So 3-2. Thank you very much. No, look, that's a strong win for Trailfinders. That pack is beginning to find its feet, isn't it? And just begin to motor week on, week out.
Yeah, 36-7. That's a strong score for them. Not a close game for Leicester either. And yeah, like you said, I think they've got a lot of talent in their forward pack, including their bench, to have the likes of the name is leaving me now. Canada second row.
Bukaboon.
Yeah, Bukaboon on the bench to come off as well. But clearly their starting pack is performing really well, and I think you can see that they're a team who get a lot of their go forward for their forwards, really aggressive carriers. They've got likes of Roe Burnfield, who is really experienced, got a really soft touch, is able to put people in places as well. And obviously their back's there to pull the strings when needed. So yeah, I think Ealing, they're ticking along slowly, and under someone like Giselle, she will always go back, and watch every single minute of that game and come in, week out with a lot of things they can improve on. So it's clear to see that's working.
Yeah, she's a lady you know well from days at Wasp. But Ellie Green beginning to pull the strings, and then as you say, you've got incredible experience there. Liz Craig, 847 games for Wasp that she played. Lynn Galwa, the South African hooker, in there as well. Buckland Hurry in the second row. Pin-up. Yeah, these are players who've been around the Premiership for quite some time. You say Roe Burnfield is never going to let anybody down, is she?
No.
And then you've got Kate Zachary there, back at 8, and she's delighted to be back at 8. Had a good chat with her on Monday evening. Wow, what a force of nature she is. What did you say? Yeah, got Bukaboon coming off the bench, Ella Amory, and even Abby Dow started from the Pine as well. But 36-7, yeah, it's a good win. How big, or perhaps they're still in the cupboard at the moment, the alarm bells for Leicester Tigers, because they certainly would have been targeting that in this opening tranche of 6 games.
It's tough. They're a new team. They're coming into a league, and I'm sure they're going to be wanting to make an impact, but there's only so much you can do, coming into a league like this where there's so much competition. And like you said, they probably were targeting, the Ealing game, the Loughborough game, to be able to come away with wins. But I think, it's only the first part of the season. We've got to play every team twice. And I think for Leicester, it's going to be about building slowly, finding out where their strengths lie outside of their, star players, and then being able to go from there.
Yeah. But huge congratulations to Ealing Trailfinders women. Yeah, I want to get some reaction again. Lack of communication there. Real shame. But yeah, history made at Vallisway Trailfinders women. First PWR victory.
Hi, I'm Bill Beaumont, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Let's turn our head to the news then. To Ireland and the All-Ireland League Round 9. Galwegians 10, Cook 34. Railway Union knocked up a cricket score 88 points to Sutonians 19. Old Belvedere, big win for them over Blackrock, 37-14. Wicklow sadly had to concede the match due to injuries. 5 points on a scoreline of 28-0 was awarded to UL Bows. So Bows mean it's, they got 9 from 9. Railway Union, 7 wins from there, 9 on 37 points. Old Belvedere and Blackrock still make up that top 4. Yeah, can't see too many changes in that top 4 over in Ireland. Cook, with that good win, go above Wicklow on the foot of the table. The league now takes a break and will be back up and running on the weekend on the 10th of February.
PWR round 5 is Saturday at 2 p.m. Bristol take on Ealing. At 3 p.m. there are 3 games: Exeter versus Gloucester, which will be live on TNT Sports, Leicester versus Saracens, and Sale versus Loughborough Lightning.
Yeah, and the big dog's in town for the live game.
Yeah.
Dame Sarah Hunter.
Oh.
Is going to be down. Oh.
I thought you were talking about yourself. Sarah Hunter is the big dog. That is true, though. But I thought you were talking about yourself.
No. Gosh. I don't. Wow. Perhaps I do come across someone who bigs myself out of that. But no, anyway. The big dog. Take a look at the Mayor Hammond. Big dog Sarah Hunter. She's a dame. She got presented a ceremonial sword of late. I mean, I can barely pick up a kitchen.
She is royalty. She's royalty.
She is absolute royalty. But she'll be down at Sandy Park alongside Laura Jane Jones and Ashley Wilmot as well. International news. Yeah, I saw Sunter and Ashley on Monday night at this event. Beautiful Guildhall. Livery Hall at the Guildhall in London. Absolutely fantastic. But it was the World Cup 25 sort of event. They've announced the opening and closing venues for the World Cup. Hugely exciting. The Stadium of Light up in Sunderland in the northeast. Sunderland. Yeah. But look,
that wasn't good.
No.
No.
Well, it wasn't mine, actually. It's Macca from Talk Sports. So blame him. But just before I carry on with the rest of the sort of announcement, as it were, with the fact that their opening game is in Sunday,
yeah,
and she's from that part of the world,
yeah.
I think if she isn't the kind of influence that she is, and I know she hasn't played for it or whatever, but she's from that part of the world. She's very passionate about that part of the world. She chose to go out at Newcastle up at Kingston Park. I think it's almost a little nod to her, almost.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I didn't think about that, but you may be right, Johnny.
Yeah, these winter nights are long for me. But at the Stadium of Light in Sunderland, in the northeast of England, will host the opening match, which will involve England on August the 22nd, 2025. It's not far away, is it? 20 months. And the final will take place, strangely enough, at Twickenham Stadium in the southwest of London, 27th of September. For the first time ever, the expanded showcase event will be hosted across 8 venues across England, with 16 teams competing to be world champions. World Rugby Chair Sir Bill Beaumont commented, "It will be a generational moment for rugby, the biggest, most accessible and most widely viewed. Its unstoppable momentum will reach, engage and inspire new audiences in ways that rugby events have not done before." And I'm going about this event on Monday night, but there really was a sense of that in the room on Monday night. Plenty of players, administrators, sponsorship people, all the big dogs of women's rugby were there, and there was a real sense of excitement and anticipation. Is that met by, when you hear announcements like that, and obviously you're involved in the Red Roses, does it trickle through to the players and stuff as well, that, it's just around the corner, home World Cup?
I don't think so. I think there'll be excitement there. The excitement's bubbling. But I think, well, definitely for me anyway, it's kind of one thing at a time. I think in the back of the head, we all know we've got this big event coming up, obviously Home World Cup 2025, which is going to be amazing. But when I see those announcements, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I will acknowledge that when it comes round. But for now, I'll be focusing on the Prem and Six Nations.
The horizontal Sadia Kabeya. There she is. Anyway, we got excited on Monday night at the Guildhall, as I say, invite from the City of London and World Rugby, celebrating just coincided 200 years of the game, and obviously France last year, and of course looking ahead to England 2025. It was a thoroughly enjoyable evening. Meanwhile, there was some sevens going on at the weekend.
Big congrats to Australia, back-to-back wins in Dubai last week and now Cape Town. But it was a very tight one, 29-26 in the final against France, having beaten USA in the semi and Ireland in the quarterfinal. Team GB, like Ireland, reached quarterfinals to miss out to USA. Next stop is the 26th to 28th of January in Perth.
Ireland and Team GB reaching the quarterfinals there in Cape Town. That's better from Team GB, isn't it?
Yeah, so much better. I think we spoke about it, we touched on it last week, but they have so much talent in there. They've been together for a while now, so hopefully this means things are starting to click in that GB7 squad.
Yeah, and hopefully they can get out to Perth and continue that upward trajectory of form and performance. Wanted to get Madison Levi on the pod. Kind of given up after 5 or 6 emails. And we've had some great Australians on the pod here. We've had Jenny Cooper, head of women's rugby at Rugby Australia. I went directly to her. No problem. She came on the pod. Shani Williams the same. Media managers get involved. It just, oh my word. It is like pulling teeth. Off the high horse, JH. We just want to celebrate what you girls are doing. Right? Oh, anyway. We're in over touching 200 countries, this podcast. Get it out there. We are in France, of course, as well. And over the weekend, Elite round 3. Montpellier stuffed Stade Francais 64-0. Lille beat Bourgogne 25-10. And the champ Stade Bordelais just about got past Rogmana 14-5. In Pool 2, Lyon went down to Grenoble over there at 17-12. Blagnac got an away win at Lens 2012. Stade Toulousain beat Stade Rennais 32-0. This week, Stade Toulousain travelled to Blagnac. Montpellier on the road to Stade Bordelais. Lyon host Stade Rennais. Stade Francais up against Lille. But Bourgogne face Rogmana, and it's Grenoble versus Lens.
Belgium's coaches have resigned due to lack of vision by their union, mainly surrounding not entering the Rugby Europe trophy. The union's response being they knew that Germany and Czechia were not entering. The new staff are targeting the championship in 2 years, which is ambitious to say the least.
Yeah, that is ambitious. Again, it's sad that that competition has not been run by Rugby Europe this year. It's which is a real shame. It really is.
I'm Abby Brown, and you're listening to the Women's Rugby Pod.
Let's have a look at this weekend then, round 5 of the PWR here in England. Let's go chronologically. Bristol, Ealing Trailfinders, Saturday, 2 o'clock. Bristol tough at home. They won't allow Ealing to have the ball, will they?
Yeah, I doubt it. I doubt it, but I'm sure Ealing, will come in guns blazing after, a good win on the weekend. And I'm sure they won't be coming in, having any feelings of wanting to back down. But like you said, once Bristol get that ball, they'll have no plans of giving it back to Ealing. So I think it could be a high scoring game. But I think Ealing are going to put everything out there too.
Looking at Ealing, and they would have been together some time, and because it is a fact, they are literally building from the ground up. To have got that win over Leicester last weekend, that could be a huge springboard for them, couldn't it? Do Bristol have to watch out?
Yeah, definitely. I think it could be a huge boost in confidence for them, for the players, for the coaching staff. Obviously, they're a new team. They're just getting up and running, and to come away with a win like that is always a positive. So I think it'll give them the confidence to try and compete more in the league. Like we said, it's a really tough league at the moment, really competitive. The top teams are performing really well. So yeah, I think, like I said, that's why I think they're going to come out guns blazing, because then they're going to have a bit of a confidence boost after last weekend.
How do you tap into that? How do you make that feeling? No, if you could bottle it, but how, you must have been in teams where you've had a run of it, some poor results, poor performances, whatever, and you get a big win, and that's amplified by the fact that they're a new team. How do you tap into that week going into the next game?
Well, I can only imagine. Giselle, she's really good at that. She'll, highlight
Why?
loads of the positive things from the game.
Why is she so good at that? In terms of her,
I think it's the way she goes about it. In terms of as a coach, and also because she's someone who and she also she feels really when the team loses, she really feels that loss, and when the team wins, she feels that high as well. So I'm sure there'll be focusing on the positives from the game, watching back clips, of key moments, big wins to celebrate on the pitch, and bringing that energy into training, kind of trying to reenact what energy they felt against Leicester and in that win through their training week, and then bring that into the game against Bristol.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bristol, more of the same for them, because it started well, sort of had it slightly at sail, and then sort of not such good couple of weeks, then back on obviously with a good win last weekend. That they'd want to back that up, wouldn't they, at home, and cement being in that top half of the table.
Yeah, for sure. I think they'll be, feeling a lot more confident after last week. And it seems like, regardless of the result against Sale, their structure is really cemented in the Bears camp. So I think they'll be going into this game against Ealing, wanting to put out, the same, if not higher score against Ealing, and also being at home, having that big crowd, they'll only thrive even more there.
Yeah, because 2 wins from the 4. That's fine. I'm not going to use the word predictable, or I just have. But by and large, know what's coming. I mean, that's not unique to Bristol, though, is it? But is there a chance that teams could just work you out too much, and therefore you've got to have more of a plan B, C, D, or am I doing Bristol a slight disservice, or am I just playing devil's advocate?
No, I think that's completely right. I think for the teams higher up in the league, when they come up against the Gloucesters, the Sarries, just the teams who are in the top 4, who would have come up against them in tight games, and like the rest of the league know what they're expecting, there is definitely potential that they can be unpicked through good analysis and good training, and I'm sure there will be a game during the league where we see that happen. So no, I don't think that's playing devil's advocate. I think it's completely right. It's a risk obviously Bristol are willing to take, playing the way they do, and obviously it pays off for them, but it could also be a little bit of a weakness.
Indeed. So didn't seem to be too many weaknesses at Sandy Park. 3 from 3, maximum 15 points. and you would say Bristol, one of the big dogs. You would say historically Harlequins, one of the big dogs. They've beaten both of those, and Leicester as well. Up against Gloucester-Hartpury off the back of a unscheduled 2-week rest. How important is that opening 20 minutes going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be so important. I think for any team, it's important that you come up the blocks fast, especially when you're against a team like Gloucester, like Exeter, who thrive on being let in, whether that's through little mistakes or turnover here and there. So I think for both teams, that first 20 minutes is going to be probably what makes or breaks who's going to win. I think whoever comes up the blocks faster, whoever puts the most points on in that first 20 minutes, that first half, is going to be the ones that take home the win.
I'm just looking for times of scores ratio on my little stat sheet there. But yet they're incredibly efficient. It's going to be a great game, isn't it? I mean,
that is going to be a great game.
Could be worthy of the final, and it may well be the final.
No, exactly. Rerun of last year's final. I know I'm going to be putting that the replay on as soon as I'm finished playing. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really exciting game. It's going to be a great game to have on TNT as well.
I'll give you a shout out. Because the big dogs are there, yeah?
Oh dear.
Leicester Saracens. That's Leicester back at home, rather than being away at Ealing, but off the back of losing to the other new team who hadn't got a win, and then you're up against Saracens. A little week off, didn't they, just to refresh? I fear for Leicester a little bit.
I agree. I think it's kind of written in the stars what that result's going to be, and I'm sure the focus for Leicester going into this week will be the small wins, whether that's focusing on defence, focusing on attack, whatever they can take away from the Sarries game, because, like you said, they haven't had the best run, and then they're going up against a top 4 team who are going to be fresh from a week off, but are also on really good form at the moment. So,
yeah, we're going to do predictions right at the end. We'll do a look at all the games. You're up at Sale.
Yes.
How do you see that one going? They've had a week off. It does depend how that sort of a team react to that, whether that's needed, like we sort of say with Quins, or just sort of stunts the sort of growth. But Sale's certainly been growing since that opening. Yeah, and they would have admitted themselves a disappointing opening fixture. They've been growing and growing, and these new talents beginning to weave some spells within their performances.
They are a strong team, and they're built a lot on heart and energy. I think that shows in the way they play. Obviously, getting that win against Harlequins.
Yes.
Yeah, getting that win against Harlequins would have been a big confidence boost for them. But like you said, obviously they've had a couple of games postponed now. So have had weeks off. In lead up to this game, which could work against them, could work for them. I hope it works against them. But I think for us, for this game, I think it's going to be a game of there's going to be a lot of, I think, brutality. I think it's going to be one up front. Say are a team who like to get into the heads of the opposition, with the likes of Georgie Paris-Redding, in that back row. So yeah, I think it's just going to be a lot of brutality. I think the team who is the toughest is the one who's going to come away with the win.
The team that's just wins that physical battle. Is it just too obvious to say that?
The physical battle and the mental battle, I think, because I think it's going to be a back and forth game. I think there'll be a lot of a lot of defense for both teams, and sometimes it can get tiring in defense, and you can. It's quite mentally draining when you're getting off the line, tackling, and sometimes you can just let the team in. So I think whoever's mentally tough enough to stick in the game, to be able to keep carrying that ball, getting their head down, will be the one to come away for it. So not only a physical battle, but also a mental battle too.
Yeah, absolutely. Postponed, wasn't it? Their game with Gloucester at the weekend at the frozen pitch before as well. But yes, take strength on that win against Harlequins. Be good old battling that back row. Do you like playing against someone like Mona Talling, who you know particularly well?
I do. Not for reasons she's probably appreciate, but I always like to play against big ball carriers, because I go by the saying, obviously, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, and that's what riles me up when I'm playing against those kind of players. So yeah, I really do. I do like to play against players like her, because not only is she quite smart around the pitch, she's aggressive, she's powerful. So yeah, I'm quite excited to come up against her.
Great stuff. Let's just finish up then. So I'm not going to ask you what you're doing the weekend, because you're playing a game of rugby, and hopefully you'll get more than 40 minutes. And yes, I'm looking forward to you putting in some big tackles, bit of Strigoni. Nice early shot on her. Quieting her down for the rest of the game. Yeah, I get you. I know where you're playing. Yeah. A couple of shout outs though. Yeah, just to raise the eyebrows. Okay. You're a 7. She's a 10. That's what happens, isn't it? Sarah Hirani, don't know the exact details of the injury, but looked really rough the other week in Dubai, and her teammates did a hucker for her in the change room, which totally nothing got me, but such is the esteem she's held by her teammates. But yeah, all the very best, and get yourself well soon.
And congratulations to Amelia McDougall from Saracens, who has won the RPA 15's Under 23 MVP of the Month award.
And she's been good. Didn't know her.
She's been really good.
Really, really impressive. And you think of some young fly halves knocking around, but yeah, look, it helps, doesn't it, being behind that pack. And an experienced 9 and some other experienced heads around you, of course, but you still got to do it. And crossfield kicks, she controls the game well. She's not frightened to get up in the faces in attack and defence. Yes, Amelia McDougall. Remember the name. Saturday 2 o'clock, Bristol Ealing. 3 o'clock games, Exeter, Gloucester-Hartpury, Loughborough TNT Sports, Leicester, Saracens, Loughborough Lightening. All the very best, Sadia. Thanks very much for your company as ever. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.